Tina Fey.
Tina Fey, yes. Tina Fey, one thing I remember about her, just a quirky little aside, I was on Oprah, the one and only time, with Tina Fey, Chevy Chase, Jane Curtin, and Tracy Morgan. And one thing I remember, they go, Chevy's kind of weird. They asked me to try to really be animated on the show, like just be funny rather than be interviewed, because they thought Chevy was kind of quiet or weird.
Oh, they wanted you to amp it up.
Yeah, amp it up because we're scared, you know. But anyway, I remember Tina just telling me afterwards she was going to the airport on a regional jet, and you know, because when you do Saturday Night Live, Lorne Michaels always had the Paramount jet, and you could. But she never went on it because she said it was like a flying car. Scared the shit out of her.
The Paramount jet?
Yeah.
I was fucking just jizzing to get on that thing.
Jet.
Oh, yeah, I got on that thing. I know, because sometimes they're so small. It's like an MRI with wings. You just lay there like, kang, 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 cow.
What you don't want to hear, because you can hear stuff you don't hear a commercial jet, and I fly commercial all the time. Sorry, first world problem. But is that if there's something wrong, you hear it. So I've been in a private jet, just two guys up front, look like they're 26, right out of film. Aviation school. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you hear, pull up.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Pull up, you know.
Have you heard this? Traffic,
pull up.
Get out of the fucking way.
Sense memory of being in high school, getting busy with a woman. She says, pull out. That was a joke.
That was all that way for that?
Oh, no, that was an ad lib. It's got a half smile. We have editing capability. I would say
Tina's so lovely, smart, quick on her feet. We do voice text sometimes. Always just casually, very funny without trying. So love talking to her.
Reeks of intelligence.
Yeah.
And I just did an animated show with her called Mulligan and voiced a character. And she was on the Zooms a lot. So she's really funny, has great voices. And of course, her Sarah Palin moment historically as a match between a person and a character was, you know, maybe the top political match. I did Perot, but I needed a nose and ears and stuff. But she was like...
And now you look exactly like Perot.
By the way, there's a really good script out for a Perot movie or series on live streaming from a really good writer that they want me to do, but I don't have time. They go, why not? I go, well, I got this podcast with Spade.
Cut to Spade running to the audition.
Can I finish one time? It became James Brown at the end. Can I finish one time?
All right. Tina Fey, let's chat.
Tina Fey, the one and only, the lovely Tina Fey. Enjoy our conversation. Thank you. What are you watching? What are you and Jeff watching when the kids go to sleep, if they do? What's your show? Do you have a show that you share together?
If they do.
If they do is the operative.
Right, they're teenagers, right? So you never know.
My older one's 16. I'm going to try 1 year. And my little one's 10, and she's just like, we're up, right? We're up forever. But we watched
forever.
We're doing this? You're like, no.
Great British Bake Off is what I'm watching right now.
That's what you're watching right now. Well, I will tell you what I've been watching with my kid is I've been watching Baking It. If you like Great British Bake Off, check out Baking It, hosted by Maya Rudolph and Andy Samberg.
Oh, really? And do they have contestants that win or lose? Like there's a reality show component?
Yeah, it's a reality show. Amy Poehler produces it. It's real sweet. It's sweet-natured, like Great British Bake Off. Like nobody's mean or sneaky. I feel like I need to make one. And
I like that too.
I've seen Great British Bake Off. I wish I'd make fun.
Paul Hollywood. So we've entered the phase, like you're talking about Andy and Maya doing that all careers have at least 5 things they're doing simultaneously. There's no more ever, unless you're Tom Cruise. You just do Mission Impossible and jump out. Hang on.
You do Mission Impossible for 7 years. Cena!
Like we did one of your side projects. We might as well promote it. Mulligan, a cartoon that was really fun for me to do with Robert Carlock and Sam Means and Tina. And it'll be on maybe in 2022 later or something.
2022, I think. Yeah. Animation takes a long time, it turns out.
Yeah,
Tina,
I heard that.
I'm going to jump in on the British Bake Off.
Yeah.
I'm a little behind because I've got a lag.
That's always good for a podcaster.
I had an idea for real. I pitched a show where you cook with celebrities. It's so dumb. It's been on, but the good title was, "Is This Thing On?"
Is this thing
about
on?
the oven.
Like, is the oven on?
Yeah, is the oven on?
Oh.
It's for people that are on the road that don't know how to cook, and they teach them. So,
that's
Tina,
a good idea.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So when I interviewed Kevin Hart for something, I made a joke about his weightlifting workout show. And I go, are you working out? And he goes, no. And I go, you're not in the workout room? Whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then someone off camera goes, remember you have a YouTube show about working out? He goes, oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, no, I do. I work out. I do that. He probably knocked out 6 episodes in a row a year and a half ago.
Confessions.
You've done it?
This is a show. Well, we're doing this podcast, but this is also called Remember When? And it's a side show that I'm actually producing. And you're on 2 shows at once right now. So
okay.
This is, we got to branch out.
It's turning into that.
It's like an HFPA junket.
Were you ever a Star Trek fan, Tina?
No. I watched a little Star Trek back when there were fewer choices back on TV, but I don't super know it.
But now that you get to pick.
Well, occasionally this will dovetail to you. Occasionally they have an episode where William T. Kirk has to testify in a trial, and then the robot voice says all his awards for being such a great. And your thing sounds like that. Faye has won 9 Primetime Emmy Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards, 5 Screen Actor Guild Awards, 7 Writers Guild Awards, 3 Producer and finally they go, enough. And then, of course, Mark Twain. That was a clever way of putting, for the audience who's never heard of you, couching you as this.
Did you win a Mark Twain lookalike contest, or is that wrong?
I won a Mark Twain lookalike contest, yeah.
Okay, I wrote that. I scribbled that one down.
Scribbled that one down. Head writer right out of high school.
Yep.
Kind of did a mic drop. By the time you came around and got the Mark Twain Award, it's like the resume was so fat. And then you pulled up your socks and did a Broadway show, and you're just going, right?
And now it's done. It's all done. Everything's
I have a question about the Mark Twain Award.
Yes,
when you win awards,
I gotta put makeup on. I'm gonna put makeup on.
Let's get serious now.
Yeah, I'm listening.
No, you don't have to. I'll ask Dana. When you win awards, Dana, you've won stuff.
Welcome to the MC chair.
No, what happens is it more stressful when you win an award? It's fun to win, but do you have to have a funny speech? And how hard is that? Because you keep winning stuff and it's like, fuck, I got to make a funny speech every time.
I do think I'm going to put makeup on while we talk and you tell me if it helps at all.
Of course, it's a tutorial. It's a third
Don't
show.
worry, we're never using the video. I turn off my picture. You can turn off your picture so you don't see yourself.
No, I want to see this fucking shit.
Oh, God.
Well, that looks like a really nice,
it's a really nice product.
It's a smoother.
Smells nice. And by the way, it's not helping. Anyway, the best thing about winning an awards is leaving the auditorium, right? Because then when you win, then you leave and you go to the press room and you're gone. And then the worst thing about not winning is remaining in the auditorium for the rest of the award show. But you do have to try to have a funny speech, guys. I'm just putting a little bass.
You're turning into a different person. She's putting all this makeup on. I don't know who she is.
I want to get something on here. Do you like it when you come out of the limo and they start screaming and you go on the red carpet and there's all those mics and Tina, I know this first world problem, so we're just saying these are experientially. I mean, I broke out in sweat when I was nominated the first time. I was sitting, Lauren was behind me, and I thought I might have to go up there, and I literally broke out in a complete soaking sweat of nerves. I didn't win, thank God.
And what Nickelodeon show was that?
Slime.
You know what? One time, because we were just thinking about, like, you're talking about, do you have to give a funny speech? One time at SNL, like Steve Martin had stopped by. He wasn't hosting. He was like there to see Lauren, and I was a writer, and he had just
make everyone nervous.
So think of that's like super nervous. And then had just been on Letterman the night before or something, and I was like, oh hey, you were so funny on Letterman, and he said to me, well, you have to kill every time, and that was like the most chilling.
He says it like that.
Like he's like, well, you just have to kill every time, and I was like, you do, or can you just be? Can you just be friendly? No,
you kind of have to. After I came off SNL like a rocket, and then I had my wilderness years. So I would go on talk shows, and I was feeling so small and insecure. Like all my confidence melted in like a weekend, even for no logical reason. But then I had to like come out. I emulated Martin Short, where you come out no matter what's going on, like you're a star.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would, and I had to sit up. One time I sat back on Letterman. and it's just the souffle went down. It had to be in performance mode, but I would think you wouldn't have to do that, but I'm kind of like a monkey puppet. I got to get the biscuit, you know.
I think anyone who they associate with comedy is like, what do you got? Like, you can't just go on there and be like an actress with shiny legs. Like, you have to bring something, right? For you guys, was doing Letterman as terrifying for you guys as it was for me? Like, I would get so terrified.
Absolutely.
Well, he's right up our alley. I think that's the problem, is like he was so the one. When I was watching it, it was sort of a different form of comedy, from loving Carson to going Letterman is a whole different vibe. And then if I could make him laugh, just that was the scary part, probably for all of us. It's so gross. You just want to make him laugh.
It felt like David can see right through you. And I do think that he laughed a lot at not what I was saying, but at the concept that I was trying to land a laugh. And then he would have that great laugh. I don't think he cared what my joke was, but he loved the idea of a comedian. And what I would say to myself, for what I said a second ago, when I was in the wings looking and seeing him there in the audience, I would say to myself, don't give this show too much respect, just to get me back to even, because David didn't want that either. But your appearances are, always seemingly very well received. And then you did the famous thing where you took your dress off. Like, that's just like one of those indelible, okay, no one's ever done that.
Googling.
I tried to go out with a bang.
What was it? Your last? Was it his last Letterman?
I sort of said to him, because I was trying to think of. I was very, very honored to be asked to be a guest in that late run of the show, and felt huge pressure. And I thought, well, maybe I could do a bit where it was sort of true, as he was the last one that was scary, right? Because like everyone else now, every talk show, I'm like, I'm not scared of Jimmy, I'm not scared of Steph, or
right? They're all younger.
I'm never on Kimmel because I'm never there. Like, and so I just sort of did a bit about how this kind of like lady dress with the tight thing in the heels. Like, I'm only doing that for you. I will never do that again. I'm not going to dress up for Jimmy. It'd be like dressing up for my brother. So this is my last dress. And I'm going to
dress,
give it to you.
all sexy.
And I just took the dress off and gave it to him. And I had like 1,000 girdles under it. It was not like a sexy Drew Barrymore situation, but a lot of space.
Did you get a lot of response from anybody on that one? I mean, it kind of was something that people would talk about, I assume.
I think he didn't mind it, right? He didn't mind it. I think the bit went over. And then, I saw like Amy Sedaris the next day or something. And she was like, oh, that was good. Whether she meant it or not. What I
hate is when a friend gives you a report card for doing something on a show and then they switch mid-word. Like, they're going for great. And then they dive to good. Hey, that was great. Good. I mean, I had a great. And then I hate when they switch. Just tell me I suck, but don't in the middle lean it out. Yeah, that was amazing.
They go like this. I saw you in Letterman now. And they go, "Is that hard? It looks hard." And I go, "Why does it look hard?"
Well, you make it look hard.
Bombed.
This David, one, they go, "Hey, you look like you were having fun." That's one.
Blush.
You look like you had a lot of fun out there.
You know what, Tina? I feel like a non-visual makeup tutorial might be the future, but it might not.
It might be my future.
She's putting on blush and some rouge.
That's it. One time at a charity thing a long time ago, but when Jimmy and I were still doing Weekend Update, that's how long ago it was.
Jimmy.
I think it was one of Smigel's benefit shows. And Jimmy and I went out and did some bit, and we did really badly. Like, it really bombed. And I remember we came off, and Adam Sandler, who I don't really know, but I really love, he was up next, and he just looked at us, and he was like, he couldn't, because we bombed, and he just looked.
He couldn't even fake it.
And he just goes, "Good hustle." Good hustle. And it's one of my favorite things ever, because it was just like the nicest possible thing you could say. It was like, you tried. Good hustle out there.
Well, you didn't let the flag touch the ground. I mean, you don't ever want to turn on the audience or get pouty or let them know this is really awful, unless you do break the fourth wall.
I think Letterman likes knowing you came loaded. At least you're trying. I don't think he likes when you walk out there with nothing and go, if you ever, I don't think it's a dirty secret that I didn't know when I watched talk shows that there was some prep. I just thought, oh, you just go out there and be funny. Everyone's pretty good at it. And then they go, oh, here's a 45-minute call of every funny thing that's happened in your life, and then we will whittle it down to 6.
Yes.
And they always whittle out the ones I like, and they go, we push that one to the end, but I feel like that's a good one if we go 40 minutes. And I go, well, that's my favorite one. They go, and Actually, on Letterman, he used to talk about my dad. I have a deadbeat dad. And he goes, his name's Pee-wee. And he just thought he was so interested in it. So then he goes, hey, because one time Pee-wee came and he goes, I hear your dad's here. And I go, yeah. Because I always talked about what a load he was, because he only buzzed around when I got famous. So I go, yeah, he's here. And he goes, he's in the green room. And I go, yeah. And they cut to him and they have a showgirl sitting next to him. And they just hired a showgirl to sit next to him like an extra. And then he puts his hand on her leg and she's like, hey. And I was like, don't make up stuff. Don't ad lib.
What does a showgirl look like? I mean, what do you mean showgirl?
Well, they had her in a whole headress. She's like on the show next. It's like that SNL trick where they have people walking around. So, of course, they put this pretty girl. And then he's like, hey. And then he next time I come on, they come back and they go, okay, you're on about 5 minutes. You have all your garbage you're going to do. And I go, yeah. And they go, yeah, I got a new dog and all this stupid shit. And they go, oh, yeah, he wants to ask you about Pee-wee, your dad. I go, yeah, I don't have anything on that this time. Remember I sent you the stuff? They go, yeah, he's going to start with that.
Yeah.
And I go, well. So then they're like, I see Biff over there going, let's go. I go, well, what do I say? Gosh. So I just bought my dad, I bought him a condo because he always comes up with investment ideas. So he goes, Davey, I got a great investment for you. I think I'm going to let you buy me a condo. And I go, I don't know. I go, that's an investment for me. And he goes, yeah, hey, they're not making any more condos. I go, I think that's land. And he goes, no, it's condos. I go, well, with that kind of pitch.
My dad forgot my name.
I found out later it was land and I got tricked.
By the time my dad was in his 80s, he couldn't remember my name. And I've got 4 siblings. And he goes, hey, have you seen Money? And they go, Money? You mean Dana? Who the hell's Dana? I need some money for money. Anyway, we're not bitter, Tina. But anyway, my point is this. How did your relatives handle your success? Yeah.
From mousy schoolgirl to mousy star.
To mousy.
Yes.
Now, Tina, I have a real question.
Yeah.
When you're the head writer,
Yeah.
I'm reading this.
Yeah.
When you're the head writer, is it just a lot of hiding?
It's you can't hide
Because everybody wants to ask you everything.
Yeah, on Tuesday nights, usually if you had one thing you wanted to write yourself, if you actually had an idea, then you'd have to hide from people to try to write something. But like, I think being the head writer is just about like embracing shame and just being like, okay, this thing that I would never pick, I'm going to try to help it. And then I'm going to get yelled at about it. And then my friends are going to be like, good job on that thing. And like, it wasn't my thing.
You let that turd through.
So the whole show is on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Well, Downey used to hide from us all the time. He'd lock the door and then I'd knock and then he goes, do you want to go eat? And I go, sure, I'll do anything just to get in the same room. And then we go eat and he wants to talk about anything but the show. And then you get back and then he locks it again. I'm like knocking and then I see Schneider cut in front of me. I'm next.
If you got a hold of Downey at 10:45, literally the show's at 11:30.
Yeah.
We got a Hans and Franz. We need some holes plugged. At 10:45, Downey turns into a genius. For 10 minutes, he just gives you like, because there's no more procrastinating, but he's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he really takes it to the wire. By the time I got there, Downey's presence was mostly like a locked office full of abandoned, unopened Christmas presents.
Carts and things.
9 years of Christmas presents that either were given to him or were supposed to go to his own family. I don't know. I didn't know him that well. I don't know him that well.
Yeah, if you get a few minutes, I mean, I don't want to talk about you, but if you got a few minutes with Downey, it was worth it because 2:30 in the morning he goes, I would probably take the ending this way. And then you go, oh, yeah. And then that's all you needed. And then you go, but
there's something really funny about, something really funny about, he'd always say that. There's something really funny about, and hold up the page. When I came back, they always said, well, you'll do a church lady. And it's not like my favorite thing I've ever done, but it blew up because of whatever reason, And so I think when I first guest hosted with you, and you were head writer, you were assigned to work on church chat with me. And then like 8 years later, I did another church. You'll do church chat this week, Lawrence. And then I did a whole thing with Seth. Another church chat. So I don't want to say which one's my favorite, but you guys are both great.
Seth, probably.
Well, he would do the character a lot. He would write as doing the impression of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he'd crack like a, kind of a Molson light and he'd be like relaxed. I
try to remember do you remember who were the character guests on the church chat that when you did
we did that time? Boy, and that would be a tough one. I mean, I remember doing George Bush Sr. was another one that would come out of the box for a while. And then Will as Junior. And Will's 6'4", 230. I'm 5'8", 150, and he had to sit on my lap.
Yes.
And that was really interesting.
Well,
yeah, and I had really huge lifts so I could look as tall. But anyway. There's two lanes with you, obviously, the writer and the performer.
Yeah.
Which is, you're very unique in that way, I think. So these are the ones that I looked up, that I remember, but then I looked them up today. And you can comment on them just as a performer or whatever you were in the writing realm
whatever
of them.
jumps out at you.
Okay.
Were you just a performer or were you in the writing? Because it feels like there's a lot of your signature kind of thing. Okay, meet my future wife. Meet my future wife.
Meet my wife. Yeah, so that was an idea that we brought in. I got to mostly just be a performer on that. Amy and I were hosting, and a guy, I know, this guy, Andrew Breedis, was like, I have this idea for a sketch. And I was like, let's get you paid for that sketch, my friend. And so
that's fucking unreal. That was a great one.
And forgive me, I'd have to look up who actually wrote it up, was two writers at the show. So that one was like a real gift. But Amy and I did bring a lot of ideas, but yeah, oh gosh, I feel so bad that I can't remember if it was.
Dude, that was airtight. That one is like beginning, middle, end.
And then they had the ending. It's really tough to get a twist at the end with the
get out.
Yeah, I didn't write it, and I really, really hope that people just think I did for the rest of my life. But I
Everything
can't remember
you do,
who
they
did it.
assume your fingerprints are on it. Okay, Mom's Jeans.
Mom Jeans, I did
Mom
write.
Jeans.
I did write.
I got it. Thought so.
Fucking A.
That is hysterical.
There's a J. Crew in the lobby of Rockefeller Center. It was one of those things where like it was writing that I had to go somewhere where I had to go down and buy like a pair of jeans in the building. It sounds like it's a story about me pooping my pants. It's not. But I had to go and get a pair of jeans. And I bought these really terrible jeans. And that was it. Then I sat and did that. And I remember Jim Signorelli filmed it. And then he was like, we got to take the song out. And I was like, no. I think the jingle is important, Jim.
It was perfect, and my wife and I used to when I'm not even Mom Jeans, but we'd see the mom sometimes, and I would, as a joke, say she's closed for business. Like, in other words, her relationship is asexual at this point, and so
closed for business.
And I saw a lot of those high-waisted jeans, but that was just like a perfect hysterical thing. All right, now
jeans are just funny. Hang on, Dana. Jeans are such a funny area. I don't know why, but like we did Bad Idea Jeans. Dana, I think you were in that.
I was just gonna say, by the way, that I say Bad Idea Jeans all the time. Like I'll quote
when you see a bad idea, I do too.
I'll be like, ooh, Bad Idea Jeans, and then of course I tried to show it to my teenager, and you can't show anything from like even beyond like last year SNL, because there's always something that's like Gen Z is like, that's not okay. I'm like, I know that's not okay, but it's so funny though. It's so funny.
Bad Idea Jeans. We did three-legged jeans. That was with Signorelli too. We were always out on some commercial shoot.
Filmmaker.
Commercial shoots are fun when they aired, but they're not fun to do because it ruins your week. You're like, okay, Monday you have a 6 a.m. Like, what?
Yeah. They do so many takes now. They do them on Friday now.
Oh, really?
All day into the night on Friday. It's rough.
The poor host does not know what they're getting fucking into. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They yank them every which way. I can't believe they can handle it.
Yeah.
Even as a host, when I went back, it was so much harder than I thought. I go, oh, I know this. I didn't know. I knew nothing. I've only been in 3 sketches max my whole career. So I go, I was in 13. I was in Update.
Your nickname is 3 Max.
I know, but that's not why. But I had to be Update. I had to be Cold Open. I had to be in a pre-tape.
I didn't like. Do you? What's the difference for you, Tina, when you were a cast member and then you come back and you host? I mean, to me, I found it absolutely exhausting. But what did you?
Yeah, it's exhausting, and for me, it was like, all the same behaviors that you swear you're not going to do as a host. You immediately are like super worried about the monologue, and like kind of like you get way more nervous, and like especially the first time I did it, like just nervous and like like really keyed up about the monologue, really tired, like it's all the things that.
Well, you're a writer, and if you go in there like I write, Dana writes, so when you're a regular host, it's horrible enough, but when you're eyeballing the writing, going, this one I know isn't there yet, and you're like, it's got through, but this one needs the most work, and you're out there on the air show going, oh, right, we never even looked at this.
Yeah.
This is just the way it is. You can't get to put out the fires. You're like, that one, I feel like we should tighten the middle, or you say that, but then you're like, they're like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But you have that long dinner that you go to as well. Sorry. And when you normally be working, that Tuesday night dinner that's like 4 hours, I really got to go. So go.
Marcy comes around. They want you. Lauren wants you to go to Orso. I go, I was going to, he wants you to go. I go, all right.
So Tina, go ahead.
Or Shoemaker would tell me. They tell me to go to Orso. And then I go, you get to have dinner with the host, which is fun, but you lose 3 years of your life because you can't write. You have to stay longer.
It's so The other thing when you host and you go back is if you've been a writer there, when you sit in that Monday pitch meeting and you can tell like it's all live, all fake pitches, and you just like
don't peek on Monday. Yeah, fake pitch.
You go. You're giving me this fucking bullshit. I know the fucking secrets.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Can you remember a fake pitch?
I have one for Tina right now.
Yeah. What do you got?
Caveman Afraid of Caves. You'll play Cave Girl.
JB Smoove pitched the same fake pitch for like 2 years, and he killed with it every week. And
I'm sure.
Well, then it became a running thing, right?
Yeah. It was a pitch it's an all-day cigarette. I will refrain from imitating JB. It was an all-day cigarette. It's this long. You smoke it all day, and the ash gets like this long. That was it.
It's so hard to even do. You're like, how would we even do that? But everyone just laughs. Funny idea. Do they still do this thing where they go, like, let's say it was, Paul Rudd, and then they go, Paul Rudd's here, and then everyone goes, and they go, next week, Sharon Stone. Yay!
Oh, no, I think you were there in meaner times. They don't do that anymore.
That is meaner because the host right away goes, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Okay, Brownie Husband.
Dana, they did that when you were there. Oh, yeah, Brownie Husband. Go to Brownie Husband.
Brownie? I mean, that thing is crazy.
Oh, yeah, and I was just the host. So that was, oh boy, I can see her face. It was a woman writer, and she had curly hair. No, it wasn't Paula.
I'm sketching her. But Brownie Husband, and you go with or without nuts. I mean, it was actually long for a commercial parody, but it was funny. It was like 2 minutes.
But when you chewed on the torso, so the people that haven't seen it, it's a giant brownie little man, and Tina is basically it's her sexual partner or whatever, and then when the liquid chocolate comes out and you're just like diving into the so you had to, were you someplace else? Was that methody, or was it just like
I feel like one of the few specialties I have as an actor is on camera eating. Like a lot of people avoid it, and I'll tear into some food on camera.
People don't know how hard it is to take.
Like Jack Nicholson was the best at eating. Yeah.
There was a bit. This is Anna Gasteyer and Rachel Dratch have this fake Hallmark Christmas movie out right now on Comedy Central, and one of my favorite bits in it is there's it's really funny. The actress who's playing like the pretty ingenue lead has like a chicken leg, and she just keeps going like this, like not eating it, and it really made me laugh because that's all you do when you eat on camera. Usually, it's just go to great lengths to never eat it. But yes, Brownie Husband is based on those kind of commercials where it would be this like a decadent chocolate dessert was like geared for lonely women. Would be like like a hot chocolate bowl for one. Or like
it
so
counts
sad.
as a date.
So grim.
Just went to the
so grim is the best word. Oh wait, let me see. Oh yeah, when I was thinking of my friend's daughter has this guy, and I was thinking if you were starting now, obviously we'd all be writing for memes. But if we were starting now, my friend's daughter, I know I brought this up because Instagram and everything. She said, "Oh, I'm dating this guy and he's so funny." And so I was like, "Oh, good. Give a funny guy a break because, I'm not a real looker, and we'll talk about it in the comments." But she said, "He's so funny." And
it's a character.
And then she showed me 3 Instagram memes. And I go, "Well, he's a middleman. I hate to break it to you, but he finds a funny one and then he sends it to you." And she goes, "Right." And I go, "He doesn't write to you. He's just Instagram." And then she goes, "I know, but it's funny." And I go, I'm not getting to her. I go, "You can like him anyway. It's okay. He found a funny one and he liked it and laughed, and then you laughed. That's fine."
That's fine.
Right. And that's a start.
So let me ask you a question about times they are a change in, basically. So you do Sarah Palin, which is an explosive connection between the way you looked and sounded in the writing and the moment. I had Ross Perot 20 years before.
You had a lot of people, Dana. Yeah.
He did have a lot of people.
Some landed, some didn't, but we won't talk about that.
No, I mean,
can't it finish one time? But then, so Sarah Palin comes to the show to visit. You've done her.
Yeah.
And I think back then in those days, it was like you made it funny. You weren't teaching us in a way. It made just speak to like the difference between 2000 and now, as far as the sensitivity to that. So she came, and then McCain came with his wife. So go ahead.
Yeah, the whole climate of the real world is so much uglier and so much more polarized, right? So that all seems gentler now, like doing those. And, and Seth and Amy and I wrote a lot of those, and other staff writers too, but Seth and Amy and I especially, we just like have, hands on it, because we really went to great lengths to make sure that it didn't seem just like aggro and that it didn't seem unfair. And but yeah, I do not envy anybody who had to ride out the last,
It was like the end of an era where it was like, when I was there, it was all just goofy and fun about any president. I really didn't even know about politics, to be honest. I look super smart, but I don't really know anything.
You look incredibly brilliant.
I look so smart. I have a crew neck on. People can't see this. But it was like an easy fun, like, oh, we're making fun of this guy. I was like, I knew they were Republican or Democrat, kind of. I didn't even care. And all the jokes made sense, but they go, Downey and Franken are good political writers. I wasn't. And then, fine, I'll do my goofy shit. And then we get on, and then Sarah Palin felt like right at the end of where it started getting really rougher.
Well, the iPhone came in, and then shortly after that, Facebook and everything. So everything evolved from that, right?
You would say you're friendly with Sarah Palin, I would guess, right?
You're talking to Dana. No. I mean, I feel like, we're not friends, but like if I saw her at something, I wouldn't be like
storm
ashamed.
Out. There was no... Yeah, there was no.
She talked like a little smack afterwards. I think she had that
maybe
thing
really?
of like,
because people got to her and said, "Why would you let him do that?"
Preaching to
blah,
her
blah.
base and forgetting that it'll get picked up. But no, if I saw her like on the street, I would say hello to her, and I think she would say hello to me. I don't think it's...
I saw her. She was behind me in the press line at the 40th.
Yeah,
and so she came to the 40th. So
yes,
at least
that's right.
I mean, that was. Okay.
So it's this idea that you're doing someone that you hate, and publicly everyone knows you hate the person you're doing.
I don't hate her, by the way. I don't hate.
No,
her.
that's what I mean.
Just tells you.
I don't think I've ever done anyone I hate. Well, I did Adolf Hitler once on the show. I hate him.
You don't even know him.
Well, it was me and Jan Hooks. Here's one that
oh.
just died. I always thought it was funny that only time we see Hitler, he's screaming. So Jan Hooks and I were in bed. I'm Hitler. And she's real quiet. Wake up, Adolf. Wake up, Adolf. And then I just sat up in bed and started screaming, and just silence. Cut. So anyway, but I've never done anyone I hated. Like right now, I kind of play around with Biden, but it's sensitive, very sensitive, how you use him as source material without it polarizing or making people angry or making fun of some of what people perceive. Like Al Franken said, maybe he's lost his fastball, stuff like that.
Yes,
it's interesting.
I do.
But
I think
if it's silly, it's better, I think. Yeah, your Biden's good. Do it.
We can do better. Come on. Here's the deal. This is America. Here's the deal. I'm not kidding. No joke. I'm not kidding around. I like when he yells. He gets really mad and then he whispers, because we need pipes. We're going to get them. We know how to get them. Come on now. I'm not kidding. So I think he's a funny character. I feel as long as it's funny and kind of abstracted and silly, maybe I can get away with it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like what you do, though, Dana, what makes you so great at it is because you get at the person, like the core person, and like what's funny about them as a person, as opposed to like people who, if you're writing from channeling your rage about their policy, or how much you hate them, it comes out sour. Have you seen the new guy that's doing Trump now? I think he's amazing.
Brilliant. Beyond, next level.
Yeah.
And I always thought that there was 1,000 rhythms. The Trump is one of the weirdest voice patterns of anyone. And James Austin, he has three names anyway.
James Austin Johnson.
He's amazing. Yeah. Amazing. That is like,
And they have a funny hook with him now too, where they do bullet points of his nonsense, which is a great game where it's like he's rambling, but they put bullet points up like it's making sense.
Yeah. And Scooby-Doo and many people. And then you see it switch, we're doing, Jane Acre is a tremendous show. Everyone, she wanted to be in the city, and it goes on this and it's
really good.
It satirizes Trump in the way you're just talking about, that it's funny and you don't feel like you're trying to be taught anything.
Well, you don't know for sure he hates him.
We're just laying it out. And I think when an audience sees something they recognize, they're just so full of joy. They're like, yeah, Trump does do that, and then leave it to yourself too. So that's a perfect.
It's also maybe easier. It's also maybe easier to do that now because he's out of office. Like everything seems so high stakes and stressful.
I couldn't do Obama and till he got out of office. I could tell the audience would tighten up. And then once he got out of office, I could do it as a white man, just something I like to do. I love the rhythm of Obama. I like the way he steps up. This kind of matter of fact thing he does. And I just do it all the time now. We've talked about this a little bit with Anna Gasteyer and stuff and the evolution of women on the show. And one thing was Hillary was a big presence, and then Sarah. So you and Amy did those two women who were at the top of the political ticket, But I was just going to name some of your bandmates and just think about this evolving thing and then who they have now. But in your team, obviously Amy Poehler, who you two connect so effortlessly. Crusher. Molly Shannon, supernatural funny. Anna Gasteyer, so talented. Sherry O'Terry, ball of energy. Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig later on a little bit when you're hosting. Rachel Dratch. And there's others, but it's just like
monsters.
It's
and then
amazing.
the writers like Emily Spivey and Paula Pell and Lori Nasso and Sidney Caponera, there are a lot of strong.
And Anna Gasteyer thought that it sort of reflected the culture changing as well, how the women have really emerged in a more profound way. At least, we had Jan Hooks, or there were other great women on the show, of course, but then this
great
Jan was as good as anybody. And of course, Gilda, Lorraine Newman, there always were women around. And then it just seems like this wave came. Can you speak to that, Tina?
Sure.
Or your friends.
One of the greatest joys of my life was that we were able to have Jan on 30 Rock. She played Jane Krakowski's mother. And she was so funny.
Super.
God dang it, she was so funny. Everyone just go rewatch that real quick, pause the podcast. But so when we got there, it was different. Like it did change. And I think, we also, like when I was there, our director was a woman, Beth McCarthy Miller, and Jenna, Rastana, the stage manager, there were just more women around the table. So things, you know how like things play at that table or they don't. And there were more women in other departments. And so like, there'd be stuff that we would laugh at. Like I always talk about how Paula wrote this commercial called Kotex Classic that, was
I think I saw that.
Big. It was like fashion. It was like, we're doing a classic. And it was just like those big, gigantic 1950s maxi pads that like, later than just like really bulky, like under the pants. And like, it didn't play before the because like the guys just didn't know. It wasn't like anyone purposely being like, we're going to keep them down. It was just like, oh, this is playing differently, So I think like all this inclusion stuff, it's like, you got to do it in every department. And so it's not just like one poor actor, like trying to represent for everyone from their entire universe. Let me ask you guys a question because I've theorized about this and you were there at the time that I'm thinking about. So you know Bowen Yang, right? Who's on there now, who I think is so funny. Have you seen the bit he did where he played the iceberg from Titanic?
Yes. Hysterical.
I saw him with the outfit on, and then they talked about it. I don't know if I saw it.
It's a really funny update feature where he comes out and he's like the iceberg from Titanic, and he's there to like talk about his album, and they're like, well, let's talk about the Titanic or whatever.
Yeah,
it's very funny. It's hilarious.
He just does this whole thing that I think is like actually sort of defining this like new comedy of like we're looking at the world from a different perspective. And he's like, listen, I was in the ocean, you came to where I live, you hit me, like he's just like, which is all true.
That's
like,
hilarious.
But I was saying that like it was so funny, and I was like, I don't know if Bowen could have gotten that on. Like I don't know if Bowen could have gotten in the room with like Norm and Downey and gotten that on. Do you think they would have been like, I don't like this kid. Like, I don't want to besmirch them. And like, but like, it's
it sounds
time.
Like Eddie, is it Eddie Izzard? When I would watch some of these European stand-ups, they had bits about the Renaissance and all this different way of looking at stuff. It seems reminiscent of that. It seems very European.
But if you have some game, like you were talking about the women, you can sniff out someone that doesn't have any chop after a few weeks of like so if all the women you've mentioned are really good, which they are, I think that matters. It's just getting them in front of people. So if they get the opportunity, and they did, and then they were great. And then the writers, you're saying, I don't know all the writers, but the unsung heroes that are propping up the show with great writing.
Yeah.
That's unreal too. You can tell when someone's not good.
I think that it's a natural evolution. Like if I went on, when I do the church lay on there, I feel like I'm really doing, kind of vaudeville or something. I mean, it's so ham-fisted. It came from my stand-up in the early 80s. And so I don't think that would be in fashion. Times do change. That's a really interesting observation. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is true though that like people who have the sheer balls to do it, and it is evolution, and it is survival of the fittest. And so like if you could get that up at the table, maybe
they recognize. I mean, the weirder the bit, but like that just sounds. I don't even know anything. Just you tell me right there. It's such a interesting idea, and then I think he performed it very well. Yeah, we were wanting to talk to him too, because just his experience coming on and actually not just like, oh, we have an Asian American. It's like, no, bring someone on and they're good and they blow up and you're like, oh, are we missing out? Yeah. What's going on here? Yeah. He sounds like one that's really popping out.
He's funny.
He's killing.
He's got funny rhythms.
Yep.
Hey, you were an improv group, right?
Yeah. Can I tell you guys a nightmare that I'm experiencing right now, which is I got asked to do, there's this show on Broadway right now called Freestyle Love Supreme. And it's Lin-Manuel Miranda.
It's a big hit, Tina.
It's a big hit. It's really cool. I saw it off Broadway.
Everyone loves it.
And it's all like improvised rap and music. And they were asked me to be a guest on it. I'm going to be a guest there on Thursday night. And I kept making sure they know, like, I think like, oh, I'll be a guest. Like, I'll be like a monologist, like an ASCAT. Like, I'm like, they know that I do not improvise music. Right. And my manager's like, yeah. So anyway, and I'm just, for the next couple of days, I just keep having like recurring daymares that
I don't know about
I can't improvise music, y'all.
Are they going to ask you to do freestyle rap, like in a battle?
I can't do that. Right.
Well, yes, you can. Let me
I want you to play freeze tag.
Tom Cruise.
No, I can't.
Don't make her.
Cruise, nothing to lose. Got to get some booze. What you gonna do?
Wait a minute, Dana, you go do it.
And I
You can practice. You have to practice with your daughters. They'll love you for it. Just
oh my God,
Tina,
give
me a word. I'll start rhyming it. David, give me a word. A lead in.
Counterpoint. Tina, bail.
Counterpoint. Gotta go to a joint.
Here's what I can do. If I can go there and I can be like, give me a word, and they say blender, and I tell a story about a blender, and then they make up a rap.
Fucking please. How about you go give me a word and you say blender and then they do everything?
You know what you're going to do, Tina, and you don't even know it yet because your instincts are so good.
Forget it. I'm out.
You're going to get out there and try to start rapping, and then you're going to deconstruct it into this nerdy person who can't really do it, and you're going to get triple the laughs. Maybe I shouldn't have put that seed in your head.
Like, hey, check the papers Friday morning.
Don't you feel like when you agree to stuff like a podcast, like when the day comes and you look at your calendar, you're like, really? All right. I mean, there's so much you can do. How did you get roped into this?
Yeah.
They asked me and I said, yes, of course. I love those guys.
Did you think you'd be able to talk at some point?
Honestly, this is a pretty good back and forth for podcasts. Sometimes it's worse.
Lauren always said this phrase to me a lot. There's a lot of goodwill. So that would apply to you when you get on that stage.
That only lasts for like the first 30 seconds.
I know. That only makes me nervous. I mean, I called him. Once I was hosting, I called him. He goes, it's sort of a victory lap. I go, really? I mean, shouldn't I work on something? No.
Anything he says is funny.
That's it. That's when someone write like a 12-minute cold open and they'd be like, well, that was all the goodwill. Now,
Jesus Christ. And everyone's like out of it already. Yeah. Like, your monologue hasn't even started.
Warm down.
So, Tina, what question have you never been asked that you want to be asked?
What question have I never been asked?
One word. Robert Carlock. One word.
Robert Carlock. One word. Wasp.
2 words.
2 words.
Wasp.
Wasp genius.
Yes, he does have a sort of a Yankee Doodle Dandy kind of sweater.
Chumley. Yeah, Harvard.
Chumley.
When you were a little kid, I asked this to everybody because I just like picturing you at 10 or something. What was your favorite toy, or a toy you can remember, or a bicycle from as a child that was like a cool thing or a cool gift that you got?
Well, this you won't be able to see this, but on the thing, but I'll tell you about it, and then I'll show you guys. I have a dollhouse, Fisher Price dollhouse that my parents got me when I was a kid, and my dad like wrapped up every part of it and kept it really nice. And then a few years ago, I tried to give it to my daughters when they were smaller, and they, have a much more privileged life than I have, and I found it like in a corner under a bunch of other toys, and I was like, fuck it, I'm taking it back. And so now I keep it here in my office. And I'll show it to you.
Okay. The
She's
camera's
walking.
swishing around here. We saw a piano. We saw
There's
a window.
pile of money in the corner.
We
There's
see
some
this
gold
adorable, looks like a bag of some kind of illicit substance. Oh, look, yeah, it's cool. It's open air. Yeah.
Look at this guy. He looks like Leonard Nimoy. He's so weird.
Oh, God, that's a splitting image.
That guy could be played by Will Ferrell.
That is. It's like a Will Ferrell call. It's like a little Will Ferrell doll.
Look at how cute.
Is that like visual relaxation when you look at that? Does it?
Yeah.
Is it,
like,
do you
I
feel?
didn't expect that I would look at that 70s couch that it came with.
Wow, we're looking
Look at that roof.
I think
It's
my
awesome.
sister had this. That looks so familiar.
Yeah, it's the basic, and
It's not Barbie or anything.
no,
it's
Fisher Price, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that is my favorite toy, and I still have it.
Wow.
I like that you like that. I like you more.
Thanks.
That's kind of hip. That's in your
I had
office.
a question.
Wish I had an
No, I
office. Yeah, go ahead.
No, wait, maybe I didn't. Oh, I was gonna say my daughter. I made her watch Mean Girls, and even though she was it's a little early. She was 12.
No, that's fine.
And I go, I thought, it's a little rough, but she's also, I'm not thinking like, I just want her to see something that really cracked me up and she'd probably like it. But she hasn't been to high school and had Mean Girls. I don't know, but I'm sure there's some version of it along the way. And now she loves it. And then her mom goes, oh, she keeps playing it. And I'm like, I love it. Because Mean Girls sort of just keeps kicking.
It's on Broadway.
It's always on. It was on Broadway. It's on tour
It's
now.
off Broadway. It's on tour now.
It's on tour now, yeah.
But
Tina has so many things, Dana. Like when people ask me, there's like 3 things they go to.
Yeah.
And Tina has, I can't imagine what the top 3 on the street they know you from.
You know what people know me from is a movie that I did with Amy called Baby Mama. People are always like, Baby Mama.
I fucking love
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Date Night was a killer too.
That's nice.
But
Steve
but
Carell,
Baby Mama is just had that hooky thing of like you and her together was really smart and really fun.
Do you guys, when you get out there and you have that, you just look at each other and kind of start internally laughing or something? I mean, it seems like there's a real pop with you too. When I see you together.
We go back to Chicago. Like we toured Second City together. We were on the improv team together. We really, really go way back. So we just to have a real ease working with each other. Like if we have to host something and we're just like figuring out the jokes and whatever, it's just
shorthand.
Shorthand is great. Yeah. Like do you have people that you feel that way about? Swartzen for you?
I have this theory that if you meet
Swartzen
people before
is an
anybody's
inferior person in my life. But Tina, you also had Jimmy on Update and you did great.
Yeah.
And then you have Amy. Was that a scary switcheroo or probably easy?
Oh, it was, I remember it was in a kind of classic Lorne way too. He sort of was leaving it up to me to pick what to do.
Your decision.
After Fallon. Okay.
After Jimmy left, and I tested with people and I did stuff. And I had that thing where I felt like, I was like, oh, I think I'm supposed to want to do it by myself. Like if I was, but I didn't want to do it by myself, because that's not really, I'm not a stand-up, that's not my thing. And so it was really, it's coupled.
It's fun with someone.
It's more fun with someone, and you have someone when the jokes flail, you have someone to play off of, and it's way more fun. And so it was like the week of, we finally decided.
And then people always make a big deal. Like it's the first time they had 2 women doing Update. So it was another first for the show. Yes. First time head writer, first time this. I just want to, I don't know how much more time we have, but I wanted to talk about how much fun I had working with your husband on, and he's very patient because I'm horrible at click tracks. And then my character's singing in this cartoon Mulligan, click, and I would miss it. And he'd go, oh, we can work with that. We could do that. We can do this. And I remember working with Cheryl Hardwick as well.
Yeah,
and the person is the music person who can just kind of play any genre, any style. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with him on the Zoom coaching me.
He's the best. Jeff Richmond is the best. And so patient with like comedy writers writing lyrics and comedians singing, like just infinite patience.
Yeah,
that's true. It was nice when we got to do that Broadway show. He wrote all the music for it because it was like, oh, it's people that can really sing.
rather than comedians.
Yeah.
You know, one time I was doing looping on Black Sheep, that old movie. Oh, a couple people remember. Thank you.
Black Sheep. Yeah.
So
Chris
we were
Farley.
doing looping, and I left, and Chris was coming in. He's like, "They do beeps and shit." I go, "Yeah." So anyway, he goes, "I left after 2 hours." I go, "What? I thought you were supposed to do 4." He goes, "I couldn't get it." I go, "You didn't get any?" He goes, "Mm-mm." 2 hours? He goes, it goes beep, beep, beep. Then you're supposed to, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Go.
I know,
beep.
it's pretty simple.
Because he was a pure performer. He wasn't.
Yeah,
like,
he just wanted to go,
zero
let me
parts
just,
robot.
right. He wants to change the lines and just do it different and just do a better performance. And it's just, looping is a very tough, dirty secret.
So,
But
real quick, the girls sketch where you played the kind of Eastern European woman is hysterical.
Oh, yes.
Blurta.
That was fun. I think Seth wrote
these
that
are
for
just
me.
compliments at the
Seth
end.
wrote
Take it,
that
dude,
for
I'll
you?
take it. I think Seth wrote that. Yeah, when I was
That was
hosting.
great. What about Bush Twins with you
Bush
and Amy?
Twins,
That was
me and
funny.
Amy. I think I wrote that.
Okay, so for the young people out there that want to get into comedy writing or want to see, look these things
Hit
up.
her name, hit YouTube.
They're on
and then just
YouTube.
crack
You
up.
know. Well, do you have
Thank you,
anything else,
Tina.
David? I don't.
No, she's great.
I'm sure
and you gave
that
us
she's
such
got
a chunk.
people to meet and places to go.
Well,
I
I
hope.
love you guys. You're my favorite. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager watching the show, I had a crush on both of you.
That's okay.
There we
You're
are.
like America's sweetheart. Weren't you called that at one point? Or the thinking man sex or something?
Yeah,
They've always
which is
put
like
you in
not a thing. Not a thing.
You still do your Philly accent around the house or no?
I do it all the time, hon. Me and my friends, we go down the shore. We just, Dana, can you do that accent? Because I tried to teach it to Jimmy and he kind of couldn't do it. And I was like, we found his Achilles heel because he can do everything. Can you do
I
Philly?
would have to study it. I'd have to know. I need a source track because I would
All right,
go
I'll
all
teach
over
you.
East Coast. Wada. What are you guys doing? But see, I would
I
just
thought
go
you were mayor
all
of Hollywood.
Brooklyn.
Mayor,
Can I just hear
M-A-R-E.
it real quickly then? And
Yeah, let me think. All right, Lee Mealy's like, I'm going down the street. We're gonna get hoagies, and like then we're just gonna go like sit somewhere and like smoke.
Hoagies.
You sit somewhere and smoke. Yeah, it's very specific. It's very easy to go Michael Caine with that.
Hoagies.
We're going to sit somewhere and smoke.
Were you excited about Mayor of Eastham?
I was like, I guess my phone was broken for Mayor of Easttown. I guess, but I
Is it
thought,
East?
I
Yeah,
thought
Easttown.
she killed it. She killed that because that is a really hard dialect, and she crushed it.
Oh, to think about that and your lines, and then you got to do your lines right, and you want to do them the acting way you need to do them.
Yeah.
I did New Hampshire once, and they go, "That sounded a little Boston." I'm like, "Listen, guys,
tough one.
the people watching my movie will be
Same
4 to
thing.
7 years old. Yeah, just relax."
I say it's Petridge Farm, fresh and flaky turnovers. That's the way you do it. Petridge Farm. You can get it in one word, but I'm not. I mean, Daryl Hammond. There's people of incredible ears. I
Daryl.
really need to listen or hang out with someone a lot.
We'll check back. in a couple
Daryl, yeah,
weeks.
Daryl is
Yeah.
is
All right,
amazing.
let's let Tina finish her makeup.
My favorite part of the day is going to sleep. I like to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Without
I'll sleep
any
with my kids.
medication at all, just nothing. Because I have to take
maybe
Ambien.
a melatonin gummy, maybe a over-the-counter melatonin.
Yeah, let's
Gummy.
party.
Okay, I gotcha. Wink, wink, womp,
Fuck
womp.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll give you my melatonin guy. I'll text you.
Do you think if I say it enough, I'll get a free thing from CVS, like a free thing of gummies?
Dude, I went to a weed store and the guy goes, "Here, man." He's like, "Hey," because the guy was floundering, and he goes, "Hey, Spade, I'm the owner. Listen, hey, Jimmy, grab him some fentanyl crab cakes and get him some, some PCP candy corns." I go, "No, I'm okay." But he gave me a little gummy of weed, and then I took it, and he goes, "Don't eat the whole thing." I go, "It's a fucking inch of food, dude." He goes, "Just eat the ear." I go, "I don't know. That's why I have a vodka soda. I know what I'm getting."
My wife and I tried a gummy bear of marijuana because it was instead of Ambien, let's sleep.
God,
and we hallucinated
good
all
luck.
night long. The entire house
No.
was going up and down, and I couldn't walk.
It's
I've never
terrifying.
I had no
done
idea.
that.
So be careful, baby boomers. No, we were really
Yeah.
foolish. We were doing it for
Careful,
my
baby
mother-in-law who's
boomers.
90. We thought we'll experiment with them because her friends at church, she's very Catholic, are all taking a little bit of cannabis for sleep. And that's why we did it. But we
But you had
survived.
the wrong stuff. You had the,
Well, too much.
yeah.
No tolerance. I didn't know, I hadn't smoked pot
Yeah.
since 1982. Anyway, we're halfway
Tina, thanks
done.
for
Let's
your
take a
time.
little break.
Yeah.
We'll come back
Thanks,
with Tina.
Let's take a little break and do the real hour.
Tina, thanks for doing this. It's so fun
Thanks,
to see
guys.
you. And now if we see you, we'll go, hey, we feel like we know each other even better.
Hey, coming up next, we got Conan O'Brien, our old buddy.
Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13.
Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes.
Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Serena Regan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13. So I heard you bought a house.
Hey, Dana. I did buy a house, and it's always good when the house is on Google within 15 seconds. People's like, I've already seen your house. I never need to come over. I saw it online.
All humans know where all other humans live, because we bought a place in the mountains. And the business manager that we both have said, no reason to put it under a trust or try to hide the name. Everybody knows you're there. Isn't it creepy?
Yeah, mine was under his name, my big fake, house. And then they just figured out. So he's like, we don't even need that anymore. So.
I don't know if I should say this, but my wife and I, after you bought the house, but you haven't moved in, we actually camped out one night in your yard.
Oh, you went to my house?
Yeah, we knew where it was. Like everyone else, there was a lot of people there. And I go, get out of the way. I know the guy.
You know, it's funny that there was a transient in there that the real estate guy just mentioned one day. He goes, oh, there was a guy in there. I go, a guy in my house? He goes, yeah, it was had furniture in it. He was just sleeping in one of the beds and told him to get lost.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like Three Little Bears or something.
That feels weird. Yeah, it was like Goldilocks.
People always worry about the homeless, but I always say, what are we going to do with the clueless?
Yeah.
No one has an answer for the second part.
Does Biden?
There's no funding. My Biden is now down to a sound.
Biden doesn't make sense.
Come on, let's get real. I'm not kidding around. No joke. No joke. That should be our alternate title for this. No joke.
It's no joke.
Not kidding around.
I'm not kidding around.
Uh-oh.
So Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Yeah. He's good to hang out with.
He was in, what are your favorite Tom Hanks movies?
Well, I just think he had a run like Redford did in the 70s. He starts out with you could put Big in there, kind of like Crazy Hit.
Jesus.
Then Philadelphia Story, drops a couple LBs, gets the statue.
That's right.
Comes back with Forrest Gump like 8 months later, like the Beatles dropping Magical Mystery Tour after the Pepper album. Then he comes back with Forrest Gump, another Oscar, not since Spencer Tracy. Then he comes back with Apollo 13, which I think is a perfect movie. It's like a left and a right. Then it's Saving Private Ryan. Hello, reinvented World War II, Spielberg genius. Then he loses 100 pounds, does Castaway. No one's ever done that. That's like a mic drop of show business.
The worst part is, I'm not going to say which three, but I turned down 3 of those. And I see him and I go, I could have done that.
I heard you were the stunt body double after the weight loss on Castaway in the wide shot.
And they go, we don't want him skinny fat. And I go, oh, is that what I am?
Remember when you had to be Perot in the wide shot? I was playing 2 characters in a sketch on SNL, President Bush and Ross Perot. But in the wide shot, they used you as Ross Perot.
Do I remember or do I think about it?
I want to apologize right now for okaying that.
Yeah, the answer is I think about it all the time, and it makes me sick to my stomach that I had to get full hair and makeup, bald cap to go for a wide shot.
I know.
And then right when I didn't even, and the worst part, I didn't know it. And so when they went for me to talk, they go, hold. Thanks, David. Back to extras holding. Dana getting hair and makeup to play Perot.
Well, it's because you kind of look like my little brother. I mean, for a long time, I didn't even know your name, so I just called you Understudy. I remember that. Hey, Understudy, come over here. Because, yeah, you were like laying in wait. You actually put the dress on for Church Lane once, right? They fitted it.
You were like, why is the pizza delivery guy still here and trying to write on sketches? All right, let's get to Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, please enjoy.
Remember, it wasn't that long ago to create content. You actually had to type a blog, Now, this just removes all effort from it.
All effort.
Exactly. Welcome to my job.
Let me get this straight. The 3 of us don't sit around all day anyway and crack wise.
Yeah.
And, this is what we do all day long. Talk about
Pretty
stuff,
much.
sort of.
Yeah.
Dodge issues.
That's when you're creative, when you're just hanging out, not trying to do anything. Then something pops in your brain.
Our why prepare when we can just make it up mentality is now providing us providing you guys with a healthy living.
People love behind the scenes more than ever.
Is that what we're doing behind the scenes? We having a talk about behind the scenes?
Well,
kind of.
Because I got some lingering questions from Don't Shoot Me that I want to fire at.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick about that.
I worked with your former boss on that.
who, Levitan?
The actor.
Oh,
the actor.
Siegel?
No. Who played the photographer with the beard? He was in. I'm having a cranial plate shift here. He was in
Rico.
He was in the Mr. Rogers movie, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Rico.
Yes. How can you forget a name like Rico?
You did.
He was one of the most delightful human beings I'd ever come across. He's
a sweetheart.
He was a blast.
We thought he looked like Cookie Monster or something from Sesame Street. And,
how many years did you do that show for, Dave?
That's a great question. Dana, in all his years, has never asked me anything about me.
Well, I want to know what your back end was.
No, that's the real question.
I'm a numbers guy.
That was old TV, man. You could have come in third place on that night, and you would have numbers now that would be heralded as,
I got canceled with 24 million viewers. The Mickey Rooney Show, 1981. We had 24 million on a Saturday night. They said, "Get your stupid show and get off the lot."
What numbers did they use to justify letting you go?
I don't know. Maybe it was Mickey's handgun that he had at the ready at all times. His .38 revolver.
No, I think that plays now.
They show Dana's numbers on an abacus. They're like, each bead equals 1 million viewers.
God, Mickey Rooney, Dana, you worked with Mickey Rooney. You worked with Burt Lancaster. You worked with Kirk Douglas. Tell me you made out with Sophia Loren on some movie at some point.
Meg Ryan played my girlfriend on the Mickey Rooney Show for a few episodes before you got your claws on her in those mailman movies. I can't remember the names, but
the mailman movies.
Those mailman movies.
Here Comes Mailman. I think that was the name of both of the films.
Okay,
I have a real question.
Go.
Yeah.
I do too.
You played a mailman.
You dodged my question, David. You dodged my question. How many seasons of Just Shoot Me did you do?
Oh, we did 6. And
6 seasons. That's huge.
148 high qual episodes. But what I did, Dana's real question is, after the first year, I was added on after the pilot, so I wasn't on the show. I watched it, and we'll get to you, Tom, in about 40 minutes. I was added, and then they wrote me in, and then we reshot the pilot. Anyway, after one season, they go, I try to sniff around for some more money.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, easy guy, we've had one lucky season. You're on against Friends and ER and like sort of a heyday of all these things.
And by the way, if you were a substitute teacher, you'd love the pay that they were giving you.
I was good, but then I thought it's not enough. Meanwhile, when I got it, I was ecstatic. So I was coming off about $600 a week on SNL. So I go, all right.
Overpaid.
And so I go, I want more. I demand. And they go, we would rather give you a piece of the show gambling. If you don't want more money right now, gambling that it won't go 5 years. We're betting against you. And I said, okay. And then later, a couple years later, I go, can I get some more money too? And they were like, good God.
My interest was actually the quality of the writing and the performance on the show, but you went right to the bitterness of your deal.
I was answering
you went right
Dana.
to the amount of money. Oh, you were answering Dana.
Tom, you and I are actors and we understand a different mindset.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Yes.
You're watching television, you with Rita, me with Paula. Do you ever find yourself seeing an old movie or TV show, you look up the guy's age or the woman's age, and then you look up their net worth? You ever done that, or is it just me?
I must say I've never done that.
Thank you, Tom. You're a decent person.
You've never looked up how old is Kelsey Grammer? How old?
We can make an estimation because we've been watching him since he had a couple of lines on every Cheers episode.
Right.
But that was a while back. So I know he's,
I'm going to put him around our area.
He's over 40 because that's how many years we've been watching him on TV.
All right. I have a real question for Tom.
I have a real question.
And I have a real question for Dana. So we'll just go around. We'll just go around and around.
I have a real question.
You played a mailman in You've Got Mailman.
Twice.
And you played a FedEx guy. Do you feel like you're typecast?
Yes, I do. I'm looking for that perfect DHL project. And I have an entire closet full of brown shorts, brown shirts, brown socks, and brown shoes. So when it comes time to play Mr. UPS,
Right.
they come to me before they go to anyone.
I think an Amazon worker who wins the company lottery and goes on Blue Origin.
And goes up into space. How about that?
Everything ends with space.
Wow. Everything.
Which when I think of you, okay, here's a statement. You can respond any way you want. Because I see you as a quintessential baby boomer along with myself.
No, I was born in 1956. Right.
55. Beat you.
I just Googled
But
it.
anyway. First of all, when I think of you, I think of World War II.
Yeah.
The Beatles, because of that thing you do, and outer space.
Yeah.
Basically. World War II, Band of Brothers. Incredible. So here's a question for you as a 50s, 60s kids. If you had a choice, would you rather have a Super Ball or silly putty?
Oh, man. Silly
Don't
putty.
answer. Right off
I'm right there on silly putty, and I'll tell you why. You roll up silly putty into a ball, and it is a Super Ball.
Whoa.
And yet, it bounced really high, and yet you could like stretch it out and put it on a newspaper, and then pull it off and see the comic right there on the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could shape it like buck teeth and put it in your mouth. You could tear it in half and put it behind your ears and make your ears stick out. Silly putty should have been called Super Putty,
Miracle Putty,
because it could do Miracle Putty.
It was developed at NASA, I believe.
And who did not lose a Super Bowl after about 2 days?
First one,
right?
Boing later,
boing up on the roof, boing into the down into the culvert, off into the wash.
Overrated or underrated baby boomer toy? Slinky.
Overrated.
Agree.
Yeah.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh, underrated.
Cool.
Oh,
underrated.
dear.
Yeah.
Underrated. That was the gold standard.
You could never live up to the commercial on most toys I got, like Evil Knievel with the zip SSP. What do they call? And it would go forward.
Supersonic power.
You'd pull the string in it, or and it would haul ass. It's hard to make it jump the Snake River, but it was cool. That was.
You could get over a pile of books, with the right kind of like ramp. You had one of those? That was honestly, I became maybe because I'm older and wiser, I became a very discerning connoisseur of toy commercials that I knew were lies.
Yeah.
It's not that great.
It took me too long.
Hasbro were always lying.
Okay, here, and I know, and I'm going to tell you why, because I could tell that on a Slinky commercial when it walked the stairs without a care, those were not real stairs. The treads on those stairs were only like 4 inches wide. So you take them home and say, "Oh, I'm going to make this walk down the stairs from upstairs down in the living room."
Like a fool.
Well, those treads are 11 inches wide.
Damn.
It would go down one, but then it would stop because it couldn't get over there and come all the way down.
I'm adding Sherlock Holmes to the World War II Beetle outer space guy. I'm adding Sherlock Holmes to you.
And as soon as you got that improper knot in the middle of the Slinky, where
it was
twisted
over.
the wrong way,
Done.
It never came back.
It was over. Let me give another baby boomer quick conversational piece, because the formative years, David's a little younger than us, but kind of from four.
Does he look it?
You fucking assholes.
So.
Don't
it's
even.
the years of abuse, my friend.
I blame the ring light.
You got to face the window. I spent a half hour on this.
I have ring light poisoning.
Even though this isn't going anywhere, only Tom will see
You
it.
fair-haired boys don't age well, man. You just don't.
We don't. My ancestors were in the caves in Scotland and Scandinavia and Ireland. My skin was not prepared for growing up in California. But this mic really works for me because the neck just left me a while back. The neck went nuts.
I know. That's why you see a lot of guys wearing ascots, and kerchiefs around them.
Yeah, like Nora Ephron, the great Nora Ephron.
Yeah, no,
I hate my neck.
That's
yeah. Okay. These are just fun for me to think about and think of which ones you would like.
All right.
Movies and all. You can add TV shows too in your formative years that stuck with you. I got to put Wizard of Oz because I saw it when I was 3 or 4. It scared the shit out.
Oh,
Yeah.
the flying monkeys, man.
Scared the fuck
And
out.
The Witch.
Why is that a kid's movie? It's so scary.
It is so scary.
Luckily, there was no Twitter back then.
They would have colorized the early black and white portion of the movie because the network would have been afraid that, hey, it's in black and white. People will turn it off, and they would have colorized the first part. That's what their thinking would have been.
All right. So in 59 or 60, I don't know when these movies went on TV. I assume fairly quick after their theatrical release. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Didn't see it for years.
Didn't see it for years. All right. Pass. Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, huge.
All right. We got a winner. I know.
If you look at that pound for pound, moment by moment, and you can talk about who was the guy that did the animation, world famous. His name will come up.
Ray Harryhausen.
Ray Harryhausen's stop animation. Between the Valley of the Titans with those huge statues that come to life, and the battle against the skeleton army. If you take that and just say, okay, never mind how cheesy it looks, blah blah blah. It is pound for pound the most action-packed science fiction fantasy movie ever.
Oh yeah,
bar none.
It's unreal.
The stop motion still holds up and still has a creepy quality to it. The giant man where they took the Achilles heel and all the
and all the sand came out, or that the maidenhead figure that was the goddess Hera or whatever
whispering,
it is.
Yes,
she would open.
Jason,
you must go to the that was great. Oh, and how about the harpies that they capture on the net by
with the blind guy?
Oh man,
and the gods playing games. So I showed
that was a biggie.
And I show that to my sons, at an appropriate age where it blew their minds, 6, 7,
I think
8.
Also, you'll say, so you and I are watching this. Jason and the Argonauts would have been on TV. It would have been on something like the CBS Sunday night movie, the NBC Saturday night movie. And because it had those commercials in it, we could pause our excitement just long enough to, one, develop essentially all the ADHD that we now carry with us.
Right.
Because our attention span needed a commercial break every 12 minutes or so.
Yes.
But it ended up elongating the night. So, an hour and a half movie would really be stretched out into 2 hours. And that was a full night of rock'em sock'em entertainment.
And it's not, and it's great to have the commercials. I like the commercials.
And, so not long. I'm going to say 66 maybe. Mm-hmm. The ABC Sunday night movie first started showing James Bond movies, and that was like,
I have Goldfinger on here as
are you crazy?
Seminal.
That was insane. It was so great. But Bridge Over the River Kwai. Over the River Kwai is shown in 2 parts on Sunday night and on Monday night. On Monday, every guy at school is walking around whistling the Colonel Bogey March.
Can you do it?
Dude, I can't. Yeah. So we're doing that, and we are. Well, no, it's actually a very famous musical march. But here's the thing: that David Leeds shot that thing in the widest screen possible, but we watched it in essentially 350 lines of bad video scan.
Analog,
and with a feature called pan and scan. So that a scene that on the screen would have 3 people in it talking in the jungle, pan and scan would be on William Holden and then slowly automatically move over to some other guy. But you could not have convinced me, based on 2 nights with commercials and pan and scan, that Bridge Over the River Kwai was not the greatest motion picture ever made. For a couple of weeks until I saw something else.
Oh yeah. So I knew I'd floor you with these. I knew.
You have an SNL question?
David, do I have an SNL question? Well, I had one.
Well, you guys did the comedians. Were you in that one together where you played comedians?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, Smigel wrote that. That was one of the first things Smigel got on the air.
The stand-up guys. I would just say, when Tom came to SNL, he was, I just made notes.
No shit.
He was the most like a cast member to me. Like, he felt like a cast member.
That's cool. The first time I did it, I was wickedly excited. The second time I did it, I wasn't very good at all. But the third time I did it, which is when you were on, by that time I knew what not to do and how to save your energy and how to participate.
Oh yeah, it's an incredibly difficult thing to host. Much easier to be.
Yeah.
So Smigel, Robert Smigel of the comic,
talk to him all the time. Genius,
absolute genius. He came and said, "Listen, I wrote this thing about comedians who always say, I mean, come on, I mean, hey, they're
why do they do this?
Why would they do that?" And he wrote in a joke that was like, "Hey, what's the deal with socks?" And Dennis Miller, the comedian par excellence, says, "Hey, man, that's Jerry Seinfeld's material. You can't take that from him." He was adamant. He says, "You cannot take a comics great bit and blow it out on TV. He'll never be able to use it again." And Smigel was like, "It's old, man. He won't miss it." He said, "No, man, you can't do this." So we called Jerry Seinfeld
to find out.
And I never met him, but we're in the famous people's club. Hey, you're famous, I'm famous, so we can talk to each other like we know each other. It's all a lie.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, "Listen, I'm on SNL. We're doing this thing about comedians. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with the socks? But if you're still doing the sock bit, we'll come up with some other joke."
So rude way to put it.
I said, I really appreciate the call. Quite frankly, that's been retired from my act. If you guys want to do it, you can go ahead and do it.
I don't care.
Very gracious. Hey, what's the deal with a date on milk? It was that guy. Hey.
And then later when Jerry came, when he was hosting, we did some kind of game show with him where we did jokes.
Hey.
And I had a joke that actually worked. It was like, Gilligan's Island. What's up with Gilligan's Island? If the professor can make a radio out of a coconut, why can't he fix a hole in the damn boat?
Fucking true.
So it was actually a good joke.
That's a good joke.
What is the deal? I don't know.
It was brilliant. And I do believe it was one of the first things Smigel got on the air. You can ask him yourself.
I remember, and I was doing this, somehow this came up with someone the other day. We were playing, you guys, Smigel wrote it probably, but you were playing a guy who worked at an electronics store from the Middle East.
Yes.
And the idea that inside these gadgets, they were like kick-a-day generic gadgets, but inside they had Sony Electronics.
Sony Guts.
Sony Guts.
Which was something I was told at an electronics store owned by Middle Eastern guys who were trying, who really wanted to take cash, not a credit card.
It sounded like something.
And he was telling me he says, no, you don't understand. All of the electronics come from one single place, and everybody makes their electronics from this place. So this is actually Sony Guts. He said
we said it 300 times in that sketch.
Was it Sabra?
He's got Sony Guts.
It was Sabra Shop. Yeah, that's
He's got Sony Guts. He's got Sony Guts. He's got Sony Guts.
Look. That's what he said. No. Look. And what I loved is Michael did it so that it looked huge on the screen. Like it looked like it was a really big piece of electronics, but when his finger came into the frame to push the button, you realized it was the size of a wallet. It was a very, very funny bit.
Oh, Smile. But you also go ahead, David.
Oh, I was going to say,
I want to talk about when we were the naked sketch, the penis sketch. But
yeah,
I'll do a quickie of when on my end when I was just writer performer and Tom came in. One thing was funny was that Tom let me write a sketch with him, which was. Didn't make it to fucking air, Subway surfing. But
oh God, yeah.
But it was a good idea that
I
got to write with the host. And I think in the middle of dress, we were giving it everything and we were looking at each other going, it's not happening. Like it's the worst feeling. You're like, fuck, goddamn. Because it just
did it have a theme song or
it was a full song.
Oh.
Yeah,
it was a full song. It was like we were ruffians who we were essentially a surf gang that rode the subways and said what was it? Some of the lines were don't be afraid of a youth gang turf war, just stand up and balance. And make it a surf war. You don't need a wetsuit aboard or an ocean. The transit authority provides you the motion.
Holy shit.
And then we had the bridge was I-N-T, ooh, B-M-T, bow, 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 I-R-T, wow, 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 way, subway shuttle, blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, Lauren hated it. He just said, I don't get it. Do you live in the subway? Why? I don't.
He put the whammy on it because we gave it fucking everything. And sometimes when you do a sketch, if you just get off, I don't even know if it was that one, but sometimes you get off on the wrong foot. If you just had 2 takes, it would be great. You just start and you go, can I start again? But instead you're in it and you're like, God damn it, it's going.
Not happening.
And if the audience doesn't know where you're going, you miss that, you just...
Didn't work.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay, so we're in a pitch meeting, Dana.
All right.
And the Monday meeting where we all cram in Lauren's office.
Incredibly fun.
And
can I just say from the host perspective?
Yeah.
It is the most exciting gig in show business. It's less than a week. Yeah. You show up on Monday, you're exhausted, and yet you're spent by the end of the show on Sunday night, Saturday, except Sunday morning. Yeah. But you do wish you could do it again. You do wish you could just come right back on.
Right, because now you get it. Now you're like, I got it.
I would say as a cast member and sometimes host, experientially, first of all, you're in New York City.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're in Rockefeller Center. Mm-hmm. There can be animals on the show. It's a 3-ring circus. Everything's going live. You're never ready. So it's just, and then there's the crazy party. I've never stayed up that late in my life. The last time I was out there doing a guest spot,
that energy off.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to go to the end. I'm not going to bail out at 4 a.m. I'm going to stay. I was at Lauren's table, and I'm going to see what this guy can do. So he's going on. He's saying all this brilliant stuff. We see what you think of this one. We were raised in the wilderness, and then we got civilized. Our kids are raised civilized, and we expect them to go out into the wilderness. So stuff like that for hours is kind of brilliant, right? Finally, the lights come up.
I love
the lights come up at 6 a.m. Well, I guess we should be going now. But yeah, it goes 6 a.m.
Let's go to 88.
Amazing.
What about, okay, so we're doing this pitch meeting, and Tom might have been the Bruce Springsteen Tom one, maybe. You did one with Bruce?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I did. Those people alone are a reason to mark, the hang that you
Oh my God. I mean, and we're excited because we just finished with Alec Baldwin or something, and then it's like, you just wake up hungover, you're doing an laundry, and like, Tom Hanks this week. So you go in, and I think this is with you, maybe it wasn't, but, we go in that meeting, and by now Tom is caught on by his 8th hosting is that some of the ideas are bullshit. So because everyone's just getting their bearings. And so
you got to have an idea.
Yeah, you got to have an idea. And Lauren is like, David, Dana.
There's some water treading at that Monday meeting.
Yeah, because everyone just finished.
I have an idea about a guy who,
you want to surprise him at read through. So you don't want to blow your wad at the thing. It's funny. You want to surprise him.
There's a guy with a catchphrase.
Yeah, it's all a game of like psychologically tricking the other writers and making sure. Because, by the time the show's there, like Tom said, it goes so fast that you're like getting your UPS costume ripped off on Velcro, and they're putting a new one on. They're like, and the writer runs with you out and goes, by the way, you're not Russian, you're Polish now, and the middle's different. And you're like, what? 3, 2, and you're like, hello.
And yet, there it is.
Yeah, and it's funny. So we're in the meeting, and they go, what's your ideas? And I see Farley sitting on the ground, pulling on the carpet and pulling on his hair. And he's just so fucking nervous, and he never has any ideas. And Lauren sometimes skips him out of just mercy. And then Schneider or someone's giving a fake idea. Tom, you're a caveman afraid of caves. And Tom's like, okay. And then it all sounds like an idea. And then he goes, Chris? And then Chris goes, then he goes, pull hair. And he goes, then he goes,
his fingers are snapping with each other.
He's touching everything. And he goes, hey, Tom Hanks. And then I'm next to him going, are we saying his whole name, Tom Hanks?
Why not?
Out of nerves,
hey,
he goes,
Tom Hanks.
And then he goes like this. I was thinking maybe, this is the real one, and I thought it was for you. He goes, that movie, Marty? And Lauren goes, with Ernest Borgnine. And Chris goes, yeah, something about that. And then everything's dead silent, and Lauren goes, this is the week. Everyone's going to be looking for that Marty sketch.
For Marty.
And then I go, are you out of your fucking mind? He goes, shut the fuck up. And I see it written like with a crayon, Marty. I'm like, and he goes, I saw it the other night. I go, what does that have to do with Tom Hanks? He goes, shut the, you don't know fucking anything, dude. And then we leave and I go, hey, I don't know if are you going to go write up Marty? And then the rest of the week, everyone's like, what's the status of Marty? Is Tom going to gain weight for it?
Brutal atmosphere.
So funny.
Nothing like it anywhere else in show business. This is the other thing. There is no gig. There is no hosting thing. There is no cameo that you do that is like being on Saturday Night Live. And I think that's still, that's the reason why people still come out and say, I can't believe it. Here I am on stage on Saturday Night Live. And the audience always whoops.
That's the beginning of the roller coaster, the monologue. You're like,
do you guys think that it was unintentionally a bit of a reality show because you're putting Michael Jordan on a live sketch show, and I'm behind the slat with Michael Jordan. I can see he's a little tense, so I'm going, Michael, just if you have to, just look at the cards. Yeah. Or you're with Sting, we're going to go into the scene, and he looks at me and goes, how's my hair? How is it? So there's these, the high wire act of Wayne Gretzky or Joe Montana.
I love the one where he was essentially a hockey player in Hawaii.
Yes, and he was so good.
And he flipped a burger off a grill, and Phil Hartman said, "How did you do that?"
And then he sang a song, didn't he? I mean,
yes,
he was surprisingly charismatic.
Oddly, a lot of times the stuff is not hilariously funny when it's on. Yeah. It's still worthy of repeat viewings and examinations. Because there was one where Will was Janet Reno. And, he was in a dress and he had that little bit of lip gloss and, he was threatening everybody and punching everybody. And then you guys got the actual Janet Reno, the Attorney General of the United States of America, to bust through a fake brick wall and yell, it's clobbering time. Do you remember? Janet Reno buster says, it's clobbering time. I said, how did they pull that off? That's a brilliant.
That is part of the fun, that you don't know who's coming, who might come. And there's really almost no one too big to just do a cameo or something. Just to pop in.
Everybody. Okay. So here's a question for the two of you guys. You're on the show for a long time. And you guys kind of like became
7 years.
You became David Spade, and you had the Hollywood Minute that was immediate. I don't know if that was your immediate every time you were on you got a nickel. And then Dana, you started with the church lady. I don't want to. Okay, so how long you were on? 7 years, Dana. David, how many years
6.
You were on? All right, what is the day like after or have been told that you're not on SNL anymore? This is a great paradox of show business that I'm fascinated with, because you can talk about the highlights. It can all be, this is your life. And then Dana, you played drums for Wayne World, but that's the yin. The yang is your aces. You're at the top of your game. You have established yourself. You've taken the beachhead. You've landed on the moon. You've done all those things that you never quite believed would actually happen, and yet you had faith in yourself to make it happen, and then it did. And 12 hours ago or 24 hours ago, you knew you were going to be on SNL. And at noon on a day, I'm now going to move on to the next chapter of being funny and what I do for a living. How long does that last, and how do you get through it?
Well, I can only say for myself, like when I got on, the idea when people were going to leave and be movie stars. I mean, I think Eddie Murphy did 3 years. Other people did 4. When I left at 7, John Lovitz left after 5, and Dennis. I stayed till 7, and it was sort of all the forces at play. I got almost too big because of Bush, Wayne's World, and Perot. So there was so much coming at me, but I feel like I really was just catching my stride. I mean, I think it was
at year 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7. I think at least 80 shows just to get used to tape and everything. Yeah. Having fun with very little fear. And that's when I was doing Carson, which was the only sketch I had on there where I wasn't cognizant of it. Is it getting laughs? Because internally it just felt so funny and real to me.
Oh, and those you watched on slow motion. You watched every inch, because no one in the history of show business had nailed Carson. No one had been able to do him. No one had imitated him on TV. Not Rich Little, nobody.
And the combo with Phil was perfect.
Yeah.
The weird, wild stuff. I did not know that.
Skewed.
I'll throw one thing in for you right now, Tom. You probably have stuff you do just for Friends. Not really a bit. So for Friends, I don't know why, Johnny Carson getting pulled over on the PCH in 1972, okay?
Yeah, by the Highway Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, officer. I didn't know I was swerving. I had 2 slippery monkeys at the hook and hook.
So stupid.
So it's the cocktail and the establishment.
Sorry.
Go on YouTube and see one of his Karnak the Magnificent bits.
Fucking love Karnak.
No.
He opens an envelope to his forehead and he says, "Sis boom ba."
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and
I know
and
that's
says
one.
"Sis boom ba." And he opens it, blows on it, pulls it out.
Yeah.
And says, "What does your sheep say just before it explodes?"
Oh my God.
I saw that with friends over the holidays, and I swear to God, we laughed for 17 minutes uncontrollably.
What's the sis?
Boom ba.
Sis boom ba. Ba.
Johnny Carson was untouchable. I did Peter Jennings moderating
Yes.
one of the presidential debates before you nailed that not got that. You just had glasses and a wig on. It said "Stay the course."
That was it. And you were
1,000 points of
Jennings.
light.
It
1,000 points of light. Stay the
took
course.
me a year to make that character funny. Took me a year.
Well, because they're
to really
so
get it.
basic, you got to find a hook.
I come on it a year later, and I haven't done the show. And by that time, you're doing it. And I saw the script page. I wasn't in the sketch. I saw the script pages for You as Bush, and I honestly said, "This is written in gibberish. I don't know what it said."
It said naga
It
ba
just said
ba.
na da
Da. Yeah.
and then it said na da da
Da.
da dot. What does this mean? I don't.
I got to do it. The thing about that sketch is that I was in a lockdown shot. So, and it was the cold opening.
Home
so it was
base.
the only time I could extend rhythms. I could improvise a bit, take things further. And many a time I thought, okay, I'm in trouble when it was over.
Because they go, it went 19 minutes.
That and what was the guy, the McLaughlin group when you
Where's your
did
number
Issue
one?
Issue
Yeah.
number one.
Morton teeny tiny tabletop. Eleanor, I think it's Swellenor.
Oh, I like
This stuff,
Don't swallow.
I'm literally talking about something I saw once, and then
Wrong.
I could
Special K with banana.
What did you have for breakfast? I had special K's
With
and
banana.
sliced banana.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I had the show taped, so I saw one of the compilations reruns, and there was some sketch that was in a restaurant, and everybody was saying, you like the taste? You want to taste the sauce?
Yeah.
Oh, you like
like
the
it in
sauce?
juice.
Yeah.
And you like it in juice. And I just came in the tail end, and David Spade came on looking like he was 13 years old and saying, is there any way you guys could end this sketch? Oh, you like us to end this sketch?
Ah, you like it if there was no more
But you
catchphrase.
you looked like a Mormon missionary who was knocking on the door or collecting for
I saw that,
the
and I was
paperboy that
shocked that they let me do that at the end of a sketch because we never really did that fourth wall shit, but it was a good way to get out of that. It's great.
Yeah,
You like
yeah,
it?
that was always the trouble ending those sketches.
Yeah, you get into
How do
them
we
and you
how do
gotta
we
get out of them. What
We
about
had some good waiter sketches. Yes.
Oh, I like the horny waiter.
I like presentational stuff, and I think one of the early ones that Tom was in that has resonated, people are aware of it. So the song is Mr. Short-Term Memory.
Mr. Short-Term,
Oh, yeah.
Short-Term Memory.
Michael. Yeah, that was
So the premise is completely up front. Everyone knows what's going
song.
on. And then that was one where I just thought maybe you were kind of the perfect cast, like to play that guy.
All right, so here's what I remember.
Yeah.
A perfect sketch, provided you did it with alacrity and didn't put a bump in it.
Yeah.
The dress rehearsal performance of it was so perfect that it did not live up to the actual air show.
I hate that.
And that when we come off, I think somebody did an imitation of, don't worry, it'll be perfect in the rerun. You know, meaning that they take the dress rehearsal and slide the dress rehearsal thing.
That's nice. As I got more used to doing SNL, sometimes I would peak at read through. Like I was going all out, and I never got back to it. In that last year, I was pacing myself the whole time, and really, even the dress show, make sure you're not doing it the best.
That happens on movie. That happens on movie read throughs. So I said, let's not do read throughs anymore, guys, because they're fake. They happen on Bosom Buddies. They're just killed at the table. Yeah. Never. When
you get out there, it's not quite exact. Sometimes I remember at Michael J. Fox show, I was doing Michael J. Fox to him, and he started laughing, and it made the sketch so crazy fun. And then we did on air, and he didn't, and you just lost something. I'm like, I went and begged Shoemaker. I go, put the fucking rerun on, will you? Put it in the goddamn dress, and it's a tough one to get dressed.
So you got like you said earlier, Dana. You go to this incredible place, 30 Rock, and you're up on 17 for all the writing,
the whole thing,
and then the big thing happens, and the whole show transfers down to historic 8H. Where Toscanini had his own elevator, and they did the Colgate comedy. I don't know, one of the most famous.
Jerry Lewis would cut the tie off,
and then you're not playing Major League Ball. The season, at the 8th year after the show. I have moments, not every movie, but I have moments when the shoot comes to an end, and I got to go through a physiological process of grieving, because we'll never come back to this place anymore. Like if you do a play on Broadway, man, that thing is gone in the wink of an eye, and you've been there for 6 months.
All that work.
And your whole experience was about pacing yourself in order to peak at the right time, and if it happened, it was by magic, and if it wasn't, you were frustrated by it.
I've had cast members, Fred Armisen, call me or email me about this very thing. Mm-hmm. What do I do? When can I watch the show again and not think they're doing my show? And sometimes doing it maybe better than I did.
I have trouble watching it when I'm flush with memories of being hosting. There's sometimes it just, man.
First of all,
there's nothing like being alive. Like, put me in, coach. I can play center field. And put me in.
Tom, is there an eclipse in your house?
No, the sun is moving around.
You're like, the problem with mansions is we have so many windows. But Tom, what about
I'm in the smallest little cubby hole in mine. Here in the
I'd like to be a termite
in the Temple of Dender, the Fortress of Solitude.
I wish I'd stayed a few years longer, but in those days,
but you can't. I mean, there is this, it's like, Stan Musial, Sandy Koufax walked away from the game. I don't want to keep using sports analogies, but I love them. At some point, you got to go. I could do it, but there's an aspect of it here that isn't going to be good for the
Tom. When I left, and Dana, you can listen. When I left,
thank you.
You can hear what I tell Tom. That it was starting with writing on yellow pads. We didn't have computers or anything, and learning how to write a sketch and going through that whole process of getting to where I could kind of write a sketch pretty well. I was never like a super SNL guy, but at least I got to the end where I kind of had my moments. And then when I left, the hard part was almost anything I did, first of all, was never as hard. And it was hard to find people that were as good per capita as everyone around me, because I had the writing of Jack Handy and Downey and Smigel and Conan and Bob Odenkirk and Greg Daniels. And then I got these guys. We came in, forget, me and Rock and Farley and Sandler and Timmy, but we've got Dennis and Dana there and love it. And they're fucking great. Yeah. Phil and Jan.
Mike Myers.
Yeah, Myers.
It's murder. Every season is some form of a murderer's row that you cannot create that atmosphere. When you come close, I mean, that's about the highest thing I could say. I felt that way about doing Broadway on Lucky Guy. We had 14 people in the cast, and I just said, this is as good a hang as SNL. This is the same kind of like group of people who are both merciless and filled with nothing but a brand of love and respect.
You kind of know it too, because you go, if I can even, because at first at read through, I was like, I just can't have my sketch be so shitty that everyone goes, what the fuck? I just want to blend in. I don't even want to get on. I just want them not to go, Jesus Christ. Hey, stand up. Who was this? Because I was new, and I my first sketch had 18 sets. No one even tells you. I'm just like,
don't do that.
And then they go, whose sketch is 27 pages? I'm like,
for the audition process, did you have to go and like hang out for like that afternoon with everybody in order to see if you could handle kind of like the environment?
Dana lived with
when
Lauren
you were still auditioning for it.
I auditioned in LA. I'd auditioned twice before. I followed Kennison at the Comedy Store and bombed for SNL Lieutenants. And then it came around again in '86. I thought, I'll give it a shot, but I played a little club on the West Side that Rosie O'Donnell was headlining. And then I'm going on. I knew Lorne was going to come see me. Never met him before. And then in comes Brandon Tartikoff, the head of the network. And
Tartar sauce.
Cher of Sonny and Cher.
Out.
So they sat down, and then they go, now Dana Flarfo. So that was kind of
now ding dang bong.
All right. So you're talking about critics. Here's my question for you, Dana Carvey.
Sure.
I can't remember when you told me this story, but we were comparing notes on San Francisco, and I had not lived there for a long time, but it really did become this kind of like hotbed of a type of stand-up comedy. Because what was the main venue there? Was it the Boarding House? Was that what it was called?
Well, early it was the Boarding House, and then the Punchline was the first comedy club that came in, and then we had the Intersection. Depends what era, but in the 70s, when I was at San Francisco State, it was mostly the Holy City Zoo on Tuesday nights.
Holy City Zoo, okay, yeah.
There was a few of them,
Okay, so, but now you are Dana Carvey, and you're playing the main room, whatever that thing was, the main, maybe it'd been the Golden Gate Theater, or the Kern, or something like that.
Yeah, the Great American Music Hall.
Great American, might have been that. And here's what you said. I said, oh, are you still gonna, you'll go back and do that often in San Francisco? And he said, I used to, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And I said, oh, why? And you told me this story. You performed in front of an absolute huge sellout crowd.
Yes.
You killed. You left to like 17 standing ovations screaming more. They wouldn't let you off the stage. You said I could not have had a better reaction from an audience at a stand-up comedy. It's one of the best shows I've ever done. I feel that deep inside my soul.
Right.
And the critic the next day wrote, Dana Carvey rehashes old material in pedestrian
bombs or whatever. Yeah, it was
whatever.
Horrible. Yeah, Gerald Nachman.
Okay, I didn't want of the San Francisco Chronicle, I'm guessing, right? And there you have it. There you have this other thing that goes into it. There was undeniably a huge, fabulous show that you just put on, and someone said,
Yeah. I didn't know until recently that I was really always a sketch player, not a pure stand-up. And so it's a delicate environment for me. And when I play small clubs around LA sometimes, it's a different sport. And I was in a big room, and the more famous I got on Saturday Night Live over time, that was the first year, my stand-up got shittier and shittier.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I would, and then I was getting...
Could you come out and say, wow, and everybody screams? Because it sounds like he's going to do the church lady.
I remember the first time I could do a college for a lot of money. It was like a year's salary from before SNL. But I hadn't done stand-up in 6 months, and you're looking at your notes, and you're getting so much money, but as your act is getting worse and worse. It's like they just cross over.
Well, remember that day of Shakespeare that we did? It's like you come in, we read it through, we stage it, and we perform it that night.
Jackson
my God.
Brown, Julia Roberts.
You were a man on fire. We did 12th night or something like that.
I was with you out there. Who else?
You were, but no, it was like these moments where it was like, well, this is a fun thing. But wait a minute. Here's Elvis Presley entertaining us somehow. You just drove every scene of yours so deep. I think I might have ad-libbed something like, you should work more often or something like that.
I just remember you. But it's a fun premise, this idea we're doing Shakespeare, but we can also take these flights of fancy, change our voice.
Yeah, so it's not going to be work. You don't want people to sit there for an evening.
No, it's still, if you're still doing that, I'm around.
So David, you're done with SNL, and I remember you sort of like automatically being part of the zeitgeist, automatically showing up and working and being in things.
Well, Tommy Boy, right off the heels of SNL.
The Skinny and Fatty movie, sure, yeah.
Tommy Boy was a couple years in, and then Lauren said to some writers, write the way these two are around the office. Spade's always poking him and making fun of him, and he's falling down and performing for him.
Oh, it really worked.
And that was exactly what the movie was, because I don't think we could pitch a movie saying two guys in Ohio sell brake pads. I mean, it's really the dumbest movie in the world.
That is the secret of any pitch. Never tell them what it's about.
Yeah, because people go, what was that about? So I think you were getting to the thing where I finished and what was I doing next? And that was very hard because you don't know. And it was time late. I left a year late. I left after Adam and Chris. And Chris Rock was already gone. And Will Ferrell came in, who was perfectly pleasant, and he was fucking great. And I'm like, I feel like now I'm college and there are high school guys coming in. I got to go to college. And I got that. I didn't really want to leave, but I didn't really fit in. And I thought Dana fit in more because we were all like buds. And I kind of just left. And then they said it was sort of, you could probably do your own show after SNL because they will give you one shot.
You'll get a shot.
You'll get a shot.
You'll get a
but
single
you
shot.
Don't even realize if that shot doesn't work, it's almost over. Like, if you prove to them it doesn't work when you do your own show, then everyone scatters. You don't really think that yet. But I know after SNL, a lot of people go away. And so they go, do you want to be the fifth lead on this other show? But people like it, and NBC likes it, and Brandon Tartarsauce likes it. And so they go, if that works, I'm already 90% there because they already like it. There's a good writer from Larry Sanders and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
and you had a persona. You developed a persona.
And if I did my own show, I'd have to hire a Spade guy to run in and do jokes and leave. And it just was a good fit.
Yeah.
The safety of a quality ensemble. But you mentioned Chris Rock. This was a guy that, I mean, he just remained Chris Rock and ended up changing the art form in so many ways.
Yeah.
Without getting that kind of, here's the Chris Rock show, here's the thing, here's the movies. He just kept, being that kind of like poet laureate of stand-up. But I remember him as Nat X, the talk show host. The week that Andrew Dice Clay was on the show.
Yeah.
He says, Andrew Dice Clay, I got what does he say? I got a limerick for you. There once was a dude named Dice who looked like Don Johnson on steroids. Blah, 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 blah. My big black foot in your ass.
Yeah. When Rock left, he went to the back door of a stand-up special to come back, and he came back huge. We talked to him the other day, and
stand-up is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we just saying he was at the lowest part. He left SNL not feeling good about it, and then he went to In Living Color, and then they got canceled. And he was like, I was nowhere. And he goes, hard
to imagine In Living Color getting canceled, but I guess
he said when he went on, Damon and Keenan wasn't there, and it was just a ragtag crew. And so it had its greatness, and everyone just kind of jumped ship. So
did you see his documentary about hair?
No, I heard it was
because
great.
He's got daughters and stuff. Like, guys, it's mind bending. It's literally a window, a portal into a world that we don't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah, his resume, because we interviewed him, and is massive what he's accomplished, and the chances he's taken and the specials he's done. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. There's only one other resume that I read that made me had to take a nap, and that was yours.
That's just because I'm
look at these Tom Hanks movies.
Been around, man. I just
you're
been
like,
around
but wait, there's more.
That's what it should say.
My wife and I watch Bridge of Spies. That's in our rotation.
Oh my Lord, that's
that's like a perfect movie.
I'm in the thing now. I'm able just to say now, that'd be a blast. Let me do that. I'm lucky in that way. And that was one of them. It was just played into every one of, look, I read that stuff for pleasure anyway, that type of history.
Yeah.
And I got to go back to Berlin. What was great about that movie is, we're talking, the whole thing is about the Bridge of Spies, which was this very specific bridge that in the day had a white line down the middle of it that said communist on this side, free world on this side.
Yeah.
And that's where we shot it. I mean, we were literally right there where all this stuff went down. You can do that somewhere.
Yeah.
That was crazy great.
Crazy great. Greyhound, sorry, because it's so recent. Loved it.
Oh, Greyhound. See?
You must hear from people who just love. We don't get old-fashioned World War II movies enough.
Well, the thing I've heard that has been really very, very, very rewarding for both me and Aaron Schneider, who directed it, is we hear a lot from Navy guys.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Who all say no one bothers with the particulars of the Navy.
The North Atlantic.
But you guys did. Says that's the Navy, right?
And you captured the rudimentary technology, and you as the captain trying to decide, do we go left or right? The tension of that and the cold.
we had this problem when we started shooting it. We shot it in Baton Rouge. And it's like some form of, studio or whatever says, listen, what is the dog watch again? And what is mid watch? Well, that's the name of the replacing shifts, because everybody comes and stands their watch for 4 hours. He said, do we really need 4 watches? Can't we just have the same guys there all the time? And I said, well, you can, but then look what we lose. We lose the sense that Krause has been on the bridge that entire time. And then we only have the same faces over, and we don't have a sense of the passing of the days. He said, yeah, it's just really expensive to hire all those actors.
That's what it boiled down to.
Who's that guy? That's just AD guy. Hey,
I don't think people realize
production unit manager.
How hard it is to get a movie right, beginning, middle, end. You can read it, it's good. And then in the editing or in the casting or in some way it falls apart. And I think, like, even myself, I probably have only 30 movies that are great, top to bottom. And I think
I got 4. I'll say I got 4.
So I have 26 more.
I think 4 are pretty good. 4 are pretty good.
4? I can think of 4.
Yeah,
that's just
40.
from the early 90s.
That is always
Bachelor
something
Party.
Think, look at that. Oh my.
Fucking Bachelor Party. Don't sleep on that.
Guys, I am driving with my wife. We've been married for a year, and we're in a car, and we're driving through the wilds of France and Italy. We stop at an autoroute place to eat. The Autostrada, the main highways in Italy, and it's like a Howard Johnson's. It's like this big place, except the cafeteria. It's the greatest Italian food you'll ever have, because in Italy they cannot serve bad food. They don't live that way. So we're having this fabulous feast of self-serve Italian delicacies, and there was a big bus outside that was, believe it or not, the Puerto Rican national baseball team that was going around playing exhibitions of American baseball by way of Puerto Rican players in Italy. And we're sitting there eating. I'm putting oil and vinegar, and one of the guys just, bachelor party.
Fuck yeah.
And this is like 7 years after bachelor party. And they said, we were just watching it in the bus.
Yeah, right.
They're driving around Italy playing baseball, watching bachelor party.
All my movies were for buses of athletes. They would all say, we watch on the plane, watch on the bus. We watch when they were VHS.
Okay, all right. So let me tell you the story about one of the Here Comes the Mailman. Stories, movies. Okay.
Yeah.
This is absolutely 100% true. This happened. All of our kids were little. And so Rob and Michelle Reiner and Rita and I say, hey, let's take the kids to Disneyland for a day. They're young enough to really enjoy. I said, okay, that would be great. So we work it out. We're all going down in the same car. The kids are so small they can fit in the way back. So there's Rob and me and Michelle and Rita and the kids. We spend the day at Disneyland, and then we're coming back up the 405, and we get stuck in, heavy traffic, and we're just slowly going along from here to there. Now, Rob and I appeared in Sleepless in Seattle. We had a bunch of scenes together.
Applause.
And we remember this is fine. And we've been friends more or less ever since. And as we're inching our way through traffic, here is one of those, it's the airport flyaway bus, You land at the airport and you can get on one of these buses and it'll take you to a terminal somewhere else or vice versa. So there's a bunch of commuters on a bus stuck in traffic going to or from the airport. And it's one of these brand new major buses that is showing a movie on screens up, for everybody just to blow time. And you kind of edge up to the bus, then fall behind and go ahead of it. And the bus, we're just doing a do-si-do right next to each other in the same lanes. And Rob says, "Hey, they're showing Sleepless in Seattle on that bus." so we said, this is hilarious. Maybe let's try to be next to this bus when our scene comes up, so we can watch it on the thing. So lo and behold, there's a scene where Rob and I are sitting in a coffee shop having a discussion about how to date, and there we are on the screen in the commuter bus, and some guy's watching it. So I leaned on the horn, honk, 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 until this guy hears something, and he looks down, and he sees Rob Reiner in the shotgun seat and me drive it. And we're pointing at ourselves and then pointing to the screen on his bus. But he doesn't quite get it for a while. And I guess he recognizes Rob, and he goes up, and then he's whip pans to the screen above, and then back down to us, and then back up to the. And I just think, how did that guy tell his wife about what happened in the bus? On the way? So, I'm watching this movie. Then all of a sudden, the guy's in the movie in a car right now. So that's one of those surreal moments in a show business career that is equal.
Then
to
he looks for
other.
Meg Ryan in the Jetta next to him.
She wasn't there. Yeah. Where?
Sandler, when he was doing his movie with Jack Nicholson, I think Anger Management, he'd be driving and Jack would be in the passenger seat. They'd go to a stoplight and people would look at Jack, and Jack would just put his face quickly up against the window apparently and just go, ha! Just like it's scary.
What a star!
I don't want you staring.
You ever come up onto those open air tour buses that drive up and down Sunset Boulevard? We've been at a stoplight a couple of times. Honk the horn and say, "Hey, have you seen anybody great?" And then they all, "Oh my God!"
One time I got
have to
this.
dress
Tom,
as Garth.
They go next to him and they go, and they're on there, and I'm like this, and they go, the guy goes like this.
David made a face.
Then he goes, that's it. That's all I got.
Gave the thumb. That's
this
it.
Guy.
Well, who knows? They probably just saw Matt Damon down at Doheny and Sunset.
That's true. I'm on Sunset a lot. So yeah.
He's fabulous.
All right. Okay. Let's let Tom go. I mean, I know we got fucking 50 more things, but Tom,
we could do this.
I know. I love it.
Never. Let me just say one other thing about the SNL days. And this is about the cradle of creativity that it is. The first couple of seasons, first couple of appearances that I was in, there were these three writers that shared a room in the back that was too hot. But between the three of them, they came out with 4 or 5 really, really great sketches. And I called them the Boiler Room Boys. Let's see what the Boiler Room Boys come up with in the back. They're like the junior executives, in charge of sales or something. And one was Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And one was Bob Odenkirk, and the other one was Smigel.
Yeah.
So these guys were out there cranking out stuff that was, and that's why the experience is unlike any other in show business. You come across those kind of talents at both the moments when the place where they're just proving themselves, and then the other place where they have proven themselves so much that it's like on Monday, say, "Yes, is there any way I could do the Being the Liar sketch?"
You know what's
really
good? 2021 is the first year that John Lovitz only drops your name once a day now.
What do you mean?
When we did the first season, and I knew he was from LA, and I knew he had been a messenger before he got the gig through the Groundlings, and I said, "Want to go have lunch?" So he and I just walked down to the Yoshimura noodle bowl restaurant.
I've been there.
And so 2 of us are just sitting there, eating our noodles, and John's already saying, "Yeah, that's the ticket," and I've got enough cred that I've been invited to host for the first time,
Wow.
And yet it was just, kind of like down there saying, and hey, is this a pickle or what? Can you believe this kooky thing that's going on?
Were you doing League of Their Own yet or not?
Oh no, that was long before League of Their Own. I think I had just done. I would say Nothing in Common, maybe.
Is that with
I
Gleason?
can't remember. No, yeah, I think the musical guest was Sade. Here's the musical guest I was on: Sade, Randy Travis, huge.
Springsteen.
Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, Aerosmith,
Wow.
Springsteen, Tom Petty.
Fuck.
I might be blanking. And the last time I did it was Lady Gaga, who rocked the house with
She's unbelievable.
with the first. Oh, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I did it with a Red Hot Chili Peppers.
How many times you do it?
You know, I lost
10.
count.
8.
I looked it up.
Well,
10.
between the reunion shows, I don't know if those things count.
No,
I
not
say
for
that
this.
if you are tasked with being in the monologue, you have hosted the show. And a couple of those
5-timer club.
That was a big.
Yeah. Probably 10 and maybe 5 other
and change.
10 and change.
I think it's a big deal when you get up into double digits.
Yeah.
I think only you are second only to Steve Martin, maybe.
Well,
Not
no,
sure.
I think Baldwin is ahead of it, and also John Goodman. I think he's done quite a few.
He was on a lot.
My second show was
great.
Baldwin's first show. Oh, that's great. We got to
Really?
go, Dave. Okay, so all right. Well,
One thing I want to say,
Dana.
one thing about
final
the,
thought from Dana.
The read through, when hosts come in and are going to cold read 55 sketches for 4
It's so
hours.
ridiculous.
The most exciting 6 hours in show
Damn.
business.
People like you, John Goodman, Danny DeVito, I could mention a lot more, where you're listening to them cold read and watching their choices on the fly, being just great.
It's like school.
So it's a real skill to be able to read that well, and cold read. The writer's going, Tom, as you go to the read through, you got to play it slow down at the end on the waiter. You come in later.
Or you're reading it wrong and you see the writer like this over there going.
Well, as you've hosted now, you then have been in Lauren's office immediately after the read through, and all 55 sketches are up. Their titles are on cards.
Yeah,
and just go through each one. Dana, Church Lady 6. Would you like to put that on?
6.
Can we put it on?
Wayne's World.
Church Lady 6. Could we do that? Tom, Ant Commander. Jack likes it. So put it up there.
Can you send Jack Handy in? I want to see if he can tighten this sketch.
Okay, so one of the times I'm doing it, I'm working with Jack Handy, and I know that he's one of the legends. He'd been around SNL a long time, and he told me about. I also put out this kind of like goofy little magazine called Army Man. I said, "Oh, I'd love to read that," and so he hands me this essentially 5 Xeroxed pages that have been stapled together. So, here's my magazine. It's called Army Man. It was like funnier than a Mad Mag. It was like Mad Magazine condensed down to just lethal heroin style quality hilarity.
He's a silent killer.
Really. I said, how is there a way to subscribe to this? He said, I can mail you a few. Literally folding it up, send it to you in the mail.
What a mind.
Hey guys, this has been great. I've enjoyed the stroll down your lives, Spade and Carvey Avenue, right here at the intersection.
I'm going to say, with the risk of sounding show business sincere, this was a complete pleasure. Thanks, gang. Next week's guest is Daryl Hammond. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13.
Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes.
Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Sabrina Regan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.